Where is TJ Miller?
He's here.
Well, let's bring him in the studio. Is Spanish out there bothering him?
Do we have headphones? We gonna move the water bottle out of the way?
Do we give the guy headphones?
Yeah.
What kind of monkey operation are we running over here, Spanish?
Wow.
Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Gio, if it wasn't for you, I don't know where the show would be at this point.
Let's move that water bottle so he doesn't drink.
Oh, that might be his water.
Half of water.
Look at this guy. Look at this guy.
What's going on?
I have missed your face, TJ Miller. Look at you. Let me say hi.
Oh, this guy bringing his own bottle.
Yeah. What do you got?
You know what's funny? I was waiting for somebody to mention this at the other media.
They don't say anything?
But it
Hold on.
no
there
one
you go.
did.
I noticed it as soon as you walked in.
It's just a high-end. Am I in the right? Yes.
Yeah.
It's just a high-end water, but it
it looks like vodka.
Everyone thinks it's vodka, and I was on the elevator, and I was going into some appointment or something in Manhattan, and I was just like, just chugging the water, and this guy next to me was like, "Whoa, man!" And I said, "What?" And he's like, "I mean, you're really killing that vodka." And I was like, "No, it's water. You really thought I could chug vodka that quickly?" And he goes like this. He goes, "Oh yeah, well, I mean, there's like a rehab outpatient clinic on the 9th floor or whatever." And I was like, "Did you think I was on my way to a rehab outpatient clinic with like this, just being like, well, one last time, baby."
Yeah. They do that though. I think like drug
intervention.
Like
They show they're like, all right, well, I'm not going to throw it away.
Right, in intervention, right? Isn't that some of them on the way to rehab just do all of the drugs?
Yeah.
Like, that is so
before I go on a diet, I'm like, let's eat a whole pizza.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
You gotta get in good
if you're
shape.
Gonna cut weight, you might as well have an entire pizza. Boy, I'm loving the dollar slice in New York City. I got to get off that train.
Yeah. Do you live there?
Yeah, I'm living in Manhattan now, and it's wonderful.
Do people recognize you all the time?
Yeah, but I'm actually getting to a point. There were, they call themselves graphers. They've been graphing, but they were autograph people outside.
Graphers? They try to be cool with a name now?
They do try and be cool.
That's not cool.
They do try and be cool.
They're fat nerds who sell autographs on the internet.
That's correct,
yes.
also.
Yeah.
But we appreciate the support.
Yeah.
I'm kind of getting to a level of fame where people either like, that can't be him, or I think especially in New York, they're kind of in the space of like, that's him, but I'm not going to bother him. But I had the strangest, this was like my opening thing to coming to Tampa was, and I've been to Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, Miami,
Naples.
Jacksonville. Yeah, I did Naples and Port Charlotte last year, but I've really done a lot of Florida.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to realize one of the great things about Florida is it's a place where if you see a middle-aged mother sort of watching her kids splash around in the pool and she's just killing a case of beer, in Florida, no one's really like, I don't know if that's responsible. Everybody's like, I wish I had a kid. You know what I mean? So it's just been interesting going everywhere. But on the way here, there's this woman next to me on the plane, and she just was so drunk at the beginning of the flight and then proceeded to get way more drunk. And she it was that awkward moment where she's like, hey, what's your name? I'm like, I'm TJ. She goes, no, you're that actor guy. And she's just screaming on the plane. And I was like, hey, don't blow up my spot. And she's like, oh, okay. And she turns to the back of the plane and goes like this. Oh, you just look like the actor. I'm like, oh, so smooth. Such a smooth move. Such a smooth move.
Are you an actress? Because that was perfect.
Yeah, right, exactly. You should consider going into it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, people are really cool about it, very respectful. I'm now at a level, and it's very strange. This is always strange because I'm not seeing it from the outside. Like, in fact, all the time, Kate has to sort of say to me, hey, you can't do that anymore. You can't go to this place. You can't hang out after a show with people that you don't know.
Yeah.
And so it's very strange for me. But I am at a place a little bit more now where I'll introduce myself at a restaurant or a bar or something like that, and the people will be like, oh, I know who you are.
Yeah.
In New York, I just didn't want to mess.
You get a lot of that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of places because I tour so much now. But it is interesting to see how different the reaction is in different places. But I'm getting to a place. I had a conversation with a couple people like Louis C.K. was talking about, just that people would stare at him and he'll be like, "What?" And then they'd be like, "Oh, it is you."
Yeah.
You know, and then like not Claire Danes, Chris Rock was talking about
Very
how
similar, the two.
I mean, they're
Confuse them all
basically.
the time.
I didn't want to reveal it on your show, but they are the same person. Chris Rock is a very good actor when he wears whiteface, so and a wig, and so he, both of them kind of said people just don't, especially Chris Rock. He's like, people just don't. They just don't think it's me. I'm wearing sunglasses. Ben Stiller rides the subway all the time.
Yeah.
And there was this viral
I saw that video, yeah.
with that girl, and that was so funny. And really, he's just such a good dude. He was.
I don't know
really
how
sweet.
if I
But
was on a flight,
people just on the subway are like, "There's no way that's Ben Stiller."
because we have a feeling about celebrities that you're all gazillionaires, and that imagine if you were going from Manhattan to Queens, you take a helicopter. Like that's what everybody wants to think.
That's very true.
Yeah,
I will get sometimes. I think often. Not often, but every once in a while, I get kind of people when I'm at the airport be like, "What are you doing here? Why one TSA guy goes, "Why are you flying commercial?" And I was like, "What do you know? Why okay,
it costs $17,000 to fly to New York on a private jet.
It really does.
Yeah.
You know, we've done that once or twice, and it's just so ridiculously cost prohibitive that I wouldn't even know why you would do it. Even Jennifer Lawrence, who has so much money, they were like, "Do you have any bad habits?" And I swear to God, she's a little out of touch, let's be honest. She goes, "Flying private, it's a bad habit. I need to stop." And so it's just such a different world, but it's such an easy way to just waste your money. Like Wahlberg would never take a commercial flight.
Right.
But because he travels with the entourage, you've got, these flights are costing $20,000, $25,000.
Yeah.
You have to make $50,000 to be able to pay for that.
Sure.
Who is taking
Or a lot of
50 grand and being like, "Yeah, I'll blow that."
You could make, but sometimes, like if Wahlberg's doing a movie, he could take Sony's jet. Like he'll,
exactly.
That's,
but you know what? That happens less than I think he has deals with. So it happens a little bit more that he's like. He's just really good at saying, like, "I want to be paid the maximum amount that you're able to pay, and then I'll take care of the rest of it." But then other people are really smart. Like Denzel Washington owns his own like double-decker trailer, and he will make the studio rent it from him so that he can stay in it.
Yeah,
That's kind of the double-dipping stuff.
Yeah.
TJ Miller is here in the studio with us. He's going to be at the Improv this weekend.
Tampa.
If I was on a plane,
The chickens
with you,
at Ybor.
Yeah, that's right. If you catch one of those chickens,
What is it?
Ybor.
Ybor.
Ybor. That's the older part of town. Ybor. No, it's I couldn't believe the chickens. I
can't believe it every time I go. I'm like, how is this still happening?
I was on 7th Street or whatever, and it's just lunacy. I just loved it. It was a Thursday night. I was like, look at these girls that already look like it's like 10 p.m. and they're doing the walk of shame somehow already. Like, what is going on? But it's really, really fun. I mean, that's what I like about Florida is just people love to have a good time, And I like coming down here, especially because I'm not political in my humor. I don't talk about any of that stuff. I just want everybody to check out, have a good time. And it's a dynamic show. Now I'm juggling. There's slide trombone, terrible ventriloquism now. I have a ventriloquist dummy with a smaller ventriloquist dummy. So that's something you'll never be able to see.
Yeah.
Did you sneak a slide trombone in there?
Yes. So I snuck one in. Slide trombone. And
Here is what, if you want to know what I think people think about you, let me just tell you this. I have a buddy who has a business that is very profitable, and it's backed up forever to wait in. And he emailed me and said, I messaged TJ about this, but I don't know if he's going to get it, so you can bring it up to him. And I said, okay. I don't know why this person would assume that you're interested in this, but I also think you would be.
I'm excited.
It's a goat yoga place where you go and you do yoga, which you don't really have to do.
Oh,
yoga.
I am absolutely into that.
And
I've
the
never
baby
done
goats
it.
jump all over. It's fantastic.
Oh my goodness. Have you done it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And we brought
we've had
them
them in
in the studio.
Oh, you brought the goats to the studio.
We had goats everywhere.
Well, you know, you had called the guy who likes to get kicked in the balls, and he wasn't available, and so you had to get the goats in here. He was the goat greatest of all time when getting hit in the testicles.
The other, and then real goats.
And then there's the real
What do we have? About 10 baby goats
At
in
least,
here?
yeah. And they were underneath,
Jumping up on the
cables,
counter.
Yeah.
It's the best chaos you'll ever be a part
You guys
of.
do have one of the greatest shows of all time.
Because you wake up one morning and you realize, I can do anything that I want and make this company pay for it. Like, if it has radio value, I can make it happen.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've been trying to understand is kind of the value of celebrity, of saying, hey, I'll take a picture and put this on Instagram, and can I get a box of free truffles for my wife?
You know what you need? I'm gonna tell you what I know. You don't have a best friend. You need you need a Pete. My best friend's name is Pete.
Yeah,
and it's Pete's job to do that. You can't do that because you're a celebrity. Don't ask for stuff. Pete asks for stuff for you.
Yeah, that's a good thing, and it's good to have a. Yeah, Wahlberg has like 3 people.
Yes, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Pete's my turtle and my drama and my E all wrapped into one.
Yeah.
You go and you take a picture with something, and you go, "Thanks, man. It's very nice to meet you." And then Pete goes, "Hey, why don't you send him a case of those? He'll take a bunch of those pictures out the year." Oh yeah, I have no problem. That's what you need.
Yeah, I mean, my best friend is Kate, so I guess it's my wife that is usually. But she's less like, hey, can we get a free pizza out of this? And more like, just quit taking pictures of us. We're in a heated argument.
And also, it's not a matter of you can afford it. It's not like you just want a free pizza. It's a matter of these are things that's how the universe works. You're taking pictures. You're famous. You should be getting some free stuff.
Are you doing Cameo?
There's value with that. Okay, so I was on Jim and Sam, which is a serious radio show.
Oh, yeah, they're our buddies.
Yeah, and they're of course that makes a lot of sense because you guys have similar sensibilities. But I would say that Jim Norton's a bit more of a pervert than you are.
He's more open about it.
Yeah, for sure. And so I was on there, and they were looking at cameos, and I was on Cameo. For a second, I was the most expensive person on there after Kathy Griffin.
Oh.
And we did some of these. They were just looking through Tommy Lee's and some of these other people, and it was just not a good look, as we say in Hollywood.
Yeah.
It's not that it's sad. Like, everybody needs to make a buck. And more than that, I had some people get the Cameo just like on the site, and they just couldn't believe it was such an amazing gift for them, and they were so excited, and they couldn't believe that I sent a video where I'm saying their name. But it's just not a good look. And Kate, from the get-go, from the jump, was like, "You should not be doing this."
She's right.
Yeah, and
She's
I was like, "What's the big deal?" You know, I make videos for people anyway sometimes, and she's like, "Then do that. It's just not a good look." And she's almost always right about that stuff because she just, I don't know,
because
she
you look at
that stuff.
You look there are some pretty well-known celebrities on there now.
Yeah, Charlie Sheen.
Yeah, but the truth is that I don't. For you, I'm trying to think, like, if I didn't talk to you and I didn't know you, I would be very excited. I'm a fan of yours. And if somebody got that for me, I would have been like, oh, it's all I love TJ Miller. That's pretty cool. And I wouldn't think bad about you. But then also it puts you next to Perez Hilton and Billy from Bachelor Season 3. And you're like, yeah.
So here's something that I did. It's going to be on my website when the new website's done. So I got off Cameo, and then I got obsessed with getting cameos from people where they said, "I love the Emoji Movie. It's great for kids." So that was amazing. So
That's awesome.
I had, and this is kind of why it's a little sad. So I had Perez Hilton do that because he's like,
he'll do anything.
$25 or something. It's just unbelievable.
He's cheap, and he's $28. I just looked it up a little while ago.
$28. It's amazing. Like, how many videos can you make to make that worth it? I don't understand it. But I think he doesn't have any money. So, and that's the kind of look of the people that are on there. But he totally was like, oh, TJ Miller. I'm a huge fan of TJ Miller, huge fan of the Emoji Movie. It's good for kids. And I'm like, he used to talk so much trash about me back in the day, and now he's like on demand to advertise the Emoji Movie for me.
Make him say whatever you want.
You just can't even imagine. So that's the other kind of problem was like, it's that I was at a club in Raleigh, and and they this guy was really drunk in the front row, and I pulled out my juggling balls, and he was like, "Dance, monkey, dance," and I was like, "What?" And he said, "Dance, monkey, dance." And I was like, "I'm kicking you out of the club." And he was like, "Oh, boo-hoo." And then I straight up kicked him out of the show.
You don't need that dick.
Because I'm like, why? That's so mean and weird. I'm trying to entertain you. But it has a slight bit of that feel to it. And that's just not something that needs to happen, especially because I'm a comic. So I'm.
What happens when you get one and it's not something you really want to, hey, congratulate Bobby for sleeping with his 20th girl. And you're like, I don't know if I want to be involved in this.
Well, you don't have to do any of them.
Right, but then you have to start making those decisions.
Yeah, but then there was that, who was it? Was it Brett Favre? There was that big thing where all these white supremacists had him do all these slang words for like slurs, essentially. And so then you get into that position. It's like, again, when you're on demand in that way, I can't really get into it. And some people are really funny about it. Like, I got one that I was really excited about from the Unknown Comic from the Gong Show, where it's the paper bag over his head. And he was so funny, and he was doing all these jokes, and he's got the paper bag with the holes on it, and he just goes, hey, I got a facelift, and he turns the bag around, and the holes are higher up, and I'm just like cracking up at this, and it was such a thrill that he was, doing kind of jokes for me, and so that, when it's something like that, I totally get why people love it.
Yeah.
But
there is a dance monkey aspect to it.
I just can't do it. And also, I'm not hard up for cash because I've got Kristen Stewart and I did a movie that's coming out in January.
What's
January
she like?
10th. Awesome.
I'm wildly attracted to her. Even though she can care less about me. But she
mentions you quite a bit.
No.
I wondered if she
weirdly said, "I want to get into that." That's pretty strong.
You guys just seem like totally different people, so I don't know.
That's what when I went there. So I didn't even when they came to me about the film, I kind of went, Kristen Stewart. I don't totally get that. Like I understood the movie. It's kind of like Cloverfield, and I understood what the comedy would be like in it, because I'm of course doing that. But as far as Kristen Stewart goes, and then Kate said, no, she's one of the best actresses alive. And I said, really? Twilight? And Kate goes, I haven't seen Twilight, but trust me. And so
let's not knock Twilight. Fantastic movie.
Well, I just said, I said, okay, well, let's see how this is going to go. And then I was skeptical. And she was, somebody that famous is always, that's always the weird interaction because they're kind of like, you can't trust anybody, which is true.
Do you think you're not that famous?
I have a tough time understanding
You don't feel it, you don't grasp it.
But yeah, now I'm starting, like, I just recently started referring to myself as famous or as a celebrity, not in a gross way, just in an honest way.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, and I think that's the other weird thing is like all of these people, including Kristen Stewart, have seen my work. Like they've watched stuff that I've been in, especially Deadpool. Everyone's seen Deadpool. So it's always awkward at first, but then we went out drinking and she can really put him back, especially tequila. And she just is pretty gangster. She has this kind of gangster feel to her. Her girlfriend was a Victoria's Secret model. She kind of like has that whole feel going on. And so we got along really well. And I thought she was very funny, but she has an interesting kind of energy that reminded me of the kids I used to hang out with in high school. So it became kind of a older brother, younger sister thing. And it was really, really fun. She also is really good, like especially in this movie.
Yeah,
it's to her it's a thriller, but for her it's an existential character piece, and she's just good. Like I think in part kind of like Wahlberg, and I think I kind of get along with those people more than like Josh Brolin was cool, but he's like an actor. I mean, he's a surfer dude who lives in Venice when he's not on screen. But he's cool. It's just like we don't have a lot of common ground. Whereas like Wahlberg actually was a Southie kind of gang member person. and Kristen has gotten hardened because she got famous so young.
Yeah.
So it's kind of more, I mean, Wahlberg talks about it in Entourage more and less in person and stuff, but it's more the feel of like there are actors and then there are movie stars, and movie stars aren't necessarily as skilled at acting.
Yeah.
But actors don't necessarily have the charisma or the sort of weird outwardly like confident type of thing.
And you got along with Wahlberg?
Yes, he's a good friend of mine.
I have a buddy who's a comedian that was in the movie with him. And,
really?
He said it on the show, so I could say Tom Segura was in that
he's
movie.
the greatest.
So Segura was like, I kept trying to, like,
he's so funny.
Have some sort of common ground with him.
Yeah.
And I'd say something to him, and he'd be like, yeah. And then he'd go in the scene, and he goes, then one day I said something about football, and he goes, and then from then on, every time we're in the scene, he just started telling me all these football facts and things I didn't really know about. And he goes, but it was the only way I can get him to kind of relate to me and talk to me about it.
I mean, it's tough. I think also for Wahlberg, he's not an awkward guy. Like, I'd say he's the most gangster of all the people in Hollywood, but I think it's awkward for him to find common ground because he is so famous.
Yeah.
And he has been doing this for so long. And so we kind of bonded over work ethic. He has obviously an incredibly strong work ethic. I do also. And he's very smart the way that he thinks about Hollywood and media and culture. And so we got along in that way. And I think he's one of the smartest guys that I know, certainly that I count as a friend. I believe that he may have known that by seeding Entourage into culture, he would later be able to use that for Ballers.
Oh.
Not like I'm going to do Ballers later on after this, just like once he saw that people were mimicking the Entourage thing, just like Jimmy Butler has an entourage and they're friends, and I know that guy from Office Christmas Party. He kind of made it cool to have an entourage, and so all these people now have entourages, and Ballers is about how that is so financially detrimental.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that he is smart enough that he would have seeded that within culture and expected that he would shift culture in that direction and then be able to do a show about that, which is pretty... that you're kind of thinking 10 to 15 years in advance, but that's sort of what he's like. And then he's also funny. He was really funny about Transformers. I was like, how can you get through? That's the other thing I was so impressed by. I'm like, how can you do? I said to him, you have 227 days left.
Yeah.
How can you do that? I mean, how do you? And he's like, I just try not to think about it. Don't look at those numbers. He's just like, it's a lot of paper, man. It's a lot of paper.
Yeah.
And so you have to understand that he's also a businessman. Like, there was that ridiculous controversy over reshooting the film, and it's just like, that wasn't because he's a bad dude or thinks that he should be paid more than anyone else. He just knew that he could squeeze the studio because they only had him for 2 more days, and they needed him for 5 or something. And so he's just like, I'm not doing this unless, you pay me this amount. And he's not going to let anybody.
That's the business portion of
the
business.
part
That's
of it.
what you have to do.
But the other thing that I thought was really interesting is he's incredibly kind. So he really does care about fans and people. And we went and had dinner, and this two times that I've hung out with him, I saw a really interesting moment, like 2 interesting moments. One, this guy waited till we were done with dinner and said, will you take a picture with my daughter? And she was like this 9-year-old kid. And he was just so overly effusively like, of course. And so what do you what kind of movies do you watch? He switched on a dime. And then another time we were at lunch at this place called Ebaldi, which is like a super high-end, very Hollywood spot where it's like you can't really get in and they only let certain people eat there. And he, of course, is one of those people. And this paparazzi guy was like, he didn't take pictures of him. He was like, hey, Mark, and that's interesting that he calls him Mark, because he said, hey, Mark, do you mind? And Mark was like, yeah, absolutely. That's cool. And you could tell that they knew each other.
Right.
And Wahlberg knew that this guy is not going to portray him in a negative light or like take a bunch of pictures and sell it to TMZ and be like, oh, they're doing it. But instead, he was going to do that and only give it to publications that were going to reflect it in People Magazine or something like that, instead of TMZ, which is just like lies. And so it's interesting to see him interact with the world. But I definitely had to get past the entourage outer circle before he and I could actually like get along. But I have a great time with him. He's so funny because at the end of the night, if we've been out or at a restaurant or something like that, I always start making fun of him because I make fun of all these people. That's part of why they like me, I think. But he'll always be like, "Oh, here it comes again!" Like all the time at the end of the night, we had a bunch of drinks, and now you're making fun of me. Here comes it.
What do you make fun of him about?
I just tease him about anything. Yeah. You know what I mean? I just make fun of anything.
He's kind of perfect.
Yeah, and so he's kind of perfect. No, I kind of, I was making fun of him about, he talks about his past a fair amount. So I was like, "Oh, we get it. You've been to jail," and he's like, I was like, "Okay, everybody clear about that?" And he was like, "A lot of people that I came up with didn't get a second chance, and I did, and I'm very, I feel very fortunate for that." And I was like, "Whoa, that was a stop in your tracks. Like you just destroyed me." But I'll tease him about just whatever. And he said, here it comes. And I said, "That's why you like me. That's part of it. You're a king, and I'm a jester.
Yeah.
And the jester is supposed to he's the only one that can make fun of the king." And I find that that's the case. Like,
but also,
Spielberg was pretty cool about that.
You want one guy to not kiss your ass.
Exactly. And, Spielberg is like that. Michael Bay is like that. Kind of the people that you wouldn't expect because we don't, it's exactly it. Nobody makes fun of them. Nobody
I feel like Michael Bay would be like, "Haha, TJ," and then he'd walk in the other room and go, "Get TJ out of the movie."
Yeah. No. He will not walk in the other room. He will say directly to you, like, "I'm cutting you out of the movie." No, he's another weird guy where he's got this reputation that really doesn't match up with what he's like.
Yeah.
He's especially offset. He's one of Kate's favorite people. Kate just really thinks that he's like a good, solid dude, that he's really, really sweet. And so you see a lot of these people kind of either get a reputation that's just basically lies.
Right.
Or, they can't open up to very many people. And it's tough. People try and take advantage of everyone. I had that situation just a couple of days ago where I was I'm just hanging out with these. I mean, I won't get into specifics, but I was like, I'm just hanging out with these people. I know them through Hollywood, but I don't really know them. And it just suddenly became apparent that they were trying to get any sort of anything, any information that was social currency for them, maybe something that they could sell to TMZ.
Really?
And it's just like, oh.
You always have to be on alert for that.
It's just a new thing. And Kate's like, "Okay, now finally you get it." But it's antithetical to my personality. Like, I would love to go down 7th Street and like bar hop and meet people and all that kind of stuff. But that's just not an option anymore. So I have to really get it going.
Is that an okay trade?
In my
in
Weston suites. Yeah.
Is that an okay trade out that you've had to do? You have this great life and this great career, but now you can't bar hop anymore?
I don't think you get a choice, so I try not to wonder too much about it. But Kate made this point because I went to an open mic and that didn't work out well, and I wasn't even going to go up. I was just going to just watch comedy, And Kate kind of said, she's like, "Look, you've been the guy in the past who, goes to dive bars and meets people." She was like, "But if you had to choose between that, like bar hopping on 7th Street, or being able to go up at any club in Manhattan almost any time that you want to and be able to do 6 sets on a Wednesday, which would you rather have?" And it's like, no question. That's no question. Yeah. Because that's what I really like doing. It's just the bummer is now I can't hang out after shows. It just doesn't work like that unless I'm in a controlled situation. And you really don't go out after shows at like the Improv. It's like I can't really go out anywhere, so I have to kind of make the green room the sort of hang afterwards, and then that's kind of the deal. And then what happens is especially in New York, it's like in Manhattan, where I live in Greenwich Village, you build out a network of places where you are safe.
Right.
So there's like this omakase room by Tatsu, which is this really good Japanese place, and they just know me and I can get in there when I need to and get out of there and make sure that there's no one around us. There's a place called Fort Charles Prime Rib, which sort of kind of is always holding a table in case somebody wants to come in, so I can just go in there. And those are places where, especially Fort Charles, which Kate and I hang out there, and at this spot called Mesro, which is a jazz club.
Spanish sell all these locations to you.
That's exactly right. But nobody can really get in there, and nobody really knows about them, and they don't let TMZ or Page Six or those people in there. Those people are just not allowed to go in there.
You're safe there, yeah.
And so you're safe. And then what I love is Mesro is this jazz club. And we go to jazz clubs a lot. And I like jazz. That's fine. Like Kate's a big jazz head. But at a jazz club, nobody cares about anything but the jazz.
Yeah.
Because they're all jazz heads. So the only celebrities to them in the room are the people playing jazz. Yeah. And those are the best. In New York, those are the best people in the world, like better than in Paris or anywhere. And so they're so focused on that they just don't care that we're there.
Right.
And that place is really cool. They'll let us kind of sneak in food. Like they're just like Kate and I can kind of still be scummy kids who met in college and
chill
just
out.
Hang out. Yeah.
Let me ask you, if I'm on a plane, I'm sitting in first class and you come in and you sit next to me, do we talk or do I not? Do I acknowledge you're out of the gate? Oh, TJ, I'm a fan. Or because in my heart, I'm gonna be the whole flight. I'm gonna be like, should I not say hi? Is it rude if I don't say hi?
Yeah, and you kind of, that's also weird because I feel bad. I don't know if I should, but that the person, because I've sort of been in that situation where you're aware of everything that celebrity is doing and you just can't stop thinking. And I think the best thing in the world is a person who doesn't want a picture but would rather be like, hey, I'm a huge fan of your work. Say maybe a couple things that you like. And then I love, this woman just did not do this, but she was like, hey, I'm not going to bother you. And I was like, thank you. And then she just bothered me. And that's another thing that I have a tough time with. I understand the language of it, but the percentage of people, it's got to be in the 70th percentile of people that come up to me to ask for a picture. It either starts with, I hate to be this guy, or I never do this, or I don't want to bother you. If you really hate to be that guy, then don't be that guy. But at the same time, what they're saying is, I just simply cannot pass up this moment. And the other thing is, my former bodyguard, because he tried to extort a lot of money from us, and that's the kind of stuff that happens. I know that sentence is just
like
weird.
What does he have dirt on you?
I don't know. He's not. You don't hire a guy like that for his brain power. So I never understood what he was thinking. But he.
That's my next job.
I thought it was really sweet. Really.
Yeah. When I'm done with this. I can hang out with you and separate myself. We're not friends. I'm working for you, but I also like to be around you.
Yeah.
And at the same time, while you and Kate are inside the club enjoying some food, watching jazz, I could be like, how can we get TJ a couple of cases of those glasses or pizza? Or whatever.
Yeah,
That's my next
gig.
You
can pede it up a little bit. I like that.
Pede it up.
Yeah, I like that. But he had his most valuable possession outside of his daughter was a picture of him and Vince McMahon. And he would show that to everybody, and the story over and over I heard of him kind of, nobody else wanted to go up and ask for a picture, and then he went up and asked, and Vince McMahon was so nice, and he asked him if he had ever wrestled, because he said, you're a really big guy. And that story and that picture was so important to him because Vince McMahon was somebody that he has watched all the time.
Validated this guy's life, yeah.
I mean, it really was the most important thing to him. And I think that's really sweet. And so it is tough for me now, especially with kind of America and the state that it is. It's tough for me to say, no, I'm not going to take a picture. The only time I do it is when Kate is kind of like, it's clear that this is not the time to do that. And then I just say, I appreciate you being respectful. Like I'm in a conversation with my wife, or we're just trying to have a good time. But if it's just me, it's kind of tough to walk past people that have that are graphing.
Yeah.
And kind of be like, you've been here for an hour, you didn't want to miss the opportunity, and this now. That being said, I'm not going to sign clear plastic.
Right.
Somebody was like, "Can you sign each of these plastic things?" I'm like, "No, you're just going to use
Sell
that
them,
to counterfeit. What are you talking about?" But then there's also people that kind of have these huge Funko Pop collections,
Right.
and those that's their prized possession. Just like, you know, a guy who has a Mustang that he refurbished, that's like his thing. And so these people that have these collections, you know, they really have worked hard to get them autographed, because that's the whole thing. And they're on these message boards and Facebook groups and all this stuff. And I also have like 5 of those dolls or something, so they can get all of these signed dolls all at once. And that's just such a big deal that it's really tough for me to be like, no, I gotta.
But there's a difference. You know that, you know that guy. Like, I have a lot of autograph stuff that people are like, if they're hesitant to sign. Like Sammy Hagar one time. This is 20 years ago. He's like, so we're gonna take these and put them on eBay. I was like, no, you dick. I liked you, and you sign it to Mike. I don't want to. I'll never sell anything. I'll give it to my kids, and they can do whatever they want with it.
Yeah, I think, and you know, there are some people that sell them, but you don't know which is which, and that is a tough thing. Is like, you can't differentiate between those two people. So you know, I kind of hope for the benefit of the doubt. The problem is that what Kate is starting to teach me is like, sometimes you can't give people the benefit of the doubt because you are so vulnerable at this stage that people are really. I mean, we've had some really messed up stuff. I mean,
Isn't there a portion of you that go like me? I mean, I'm not a celebrity, but if I was, I'd be like, I don't care. Sign it, sell it. I don't care if you get $1 million for it. I don't want to have.
I think, there's that too. But you guys are also really lucky, because although now there's pictures of you online and there's a video component and all this kind of stuff, radio helps you so much just be more the voice. But you guys must sometimes get recognized for your voices, right?
Yeah,
like somebody,
which is the weirdest thing
Somebody will be in there and they'll be like, I didn't think it was you until I heard your voice.
You'll see a head snap when you talk.
And so I get that also, because my voice sounds like, and sounds like a drag queen who chain smokes and singing "You Tie the Yellow Ribbon" all night. But it is, you know, so that's always weird to me when somebody's like, I didn't know it was you until I heard the voice. But we were at Rockville in Jacksonville, which is this huge
concert
rock festival with Incubus and Tool and just that genre of music. Everybody from that genre of music. It's a huge festival. People come in from all over the country and the world. And I get to do things like this. We went to a swap meet in Florida. This is kind of the weird upside of celebrity for me right now. We went to this weird, like, treasure hunting thing in Florida, and I bought Kate a facial massager, which was really funny. It was straight out of the box. It's not like it wasn't just sitting there. And then I bought a faucet. There was this faucet, and I thought it'd be funny to buy it. And then I went to the rock concert with that, and I wore, because a lot of people were dressed like this, I wore a bandana and sunglasses and a hat that said like "F cancer" or whatever, and I was able to walk around in complete anonymity, however you say that. And then I went up, and we were getting like bratwurst, this food truck, and then they were all like, "Oh, we didn't know until we heard your voice," and so I didn't ask for free bratwurst. I didn't have a Pete at the time.
Have a Pete,
And but I gave the guy at the food truck the faucet, and he was like, "Will you sign this?" And I was like, "You better believe I will." And so that's a really funny thing that forever he's exactly that he's like, TJ Miller gave me a faucet. It's just so bizarre.
It was wonderful.
But then there you go. And so occasionally I do stuff like that, and I think that's sort of the Bill Murray side of all this stuff, is just doing weird things and giving people stories.
That's great. TJ Miller is here. He's going to be at the Improv tonight, 8 and 10:30, and then Saturday, 7:30 and 10. I will tell you, TJ is one of my favorites. We put a lot of people on this show that are funny, but I couldn't care less about them. You are definitely one of my favorites.
Thank you.
No, it's for like the last time you were here, I think we had to drive you up from Sarasota or something.
That's right.
I didn't want you to pass the market without me getting to have you on the show. So I'm glad you're back.
No, I'm so happy to be here. And it's nice to be in Tampa and get out of the heat. Come and see the shows tonight and tomorrow night. And, celebrate the weekend. This is a big weekend. So if you're in town or you've come to
You got
Tampa,
a 3-day weekend and just go. You can go to Comedy Friday or Saturday, and then you still have Sunday and Monday.
Or both, right?
Or
And
both.
then you got Sunday night and Monday night.
Tell me about,
this is Florida, so you also have Tuesday morning.
Tell me about what is made the most money for you out of all the things you've done.
Whoa, I've never really had that question before.
These are things I think about.
I think.
I
don't know, because you got to think about residuals,
You got
so it's like Deadpool 2. I also hit a back end bonus.
Oh, that's
so that gets pretty good. But then Big Hero 6 and Ready Player One. That's the other thing.
Oh, I forgot about Ready Player One. You have your little nubs and everything.
Yeah, I really do. My little tiny sausage fingers that are giving out faucets to all the food trucks. The thing that I always say that's so interesting is, to me, it's very interesting that the children's movies, especially the animated ones, are the only thing that people really buy on DVD and then just put in and let it replay.
Right, yeah.
And now more and more people are streaming, but those are the things that really sell. Basically, you think about when you go into a Blockbuster, what's going to be in there. It's Deadpool, it's Ready Player One, it's Big Hero 6, it's the Emoji Movie. Those are sort of the movies.
I love that you're in a Blockbuster.
And so, right, exactly. I can't get out of there. I don't know what to do. I love America. I went to a Target last week twice. Once because I needed Tums because I'd eaten too much fried chicken. And then a second time because I like Target.
If you bought me Tums, that would be better than a faucet.
Really?
TJ Miller bought me these Tums.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll bring it next time for that. We all need a little Tums. And but it's, those are the things that sort of pay dividends in the residuals. But you just don't make as much money as you would think. You make a lot of money comparatively to, the rest of the country. But it's I've never made $1 million for a movie. Not even close. And I think that's the problem. Is like, especially people that try and extort money from us, they just think that we have $10 million, $25 million, or they look online and they see that Celebrity Net Worth says I'm worth $9 million, and it's like, no.
Yeah.
Like, that is so absolutely not the case. If anything, it's really a fraction of that. It's not even half of that.
The only person that's
and
ever
it costs a lot to live.
Yeah, especially if you're living in Greenwich Village. The only person that we've ever, Celebrity Net Worth says you're worth like $6 million was Harlan Williams. He was like, that's right on the nose, pretty much.
That's pretty funny.
Everybody else is like way off.
Yeah, it's pretty far off. But it people also forget, costs a lot of money to be me and Kate.
Yeah.
We have to. I have to have a greeter in Los Angeles or New York that meets me on the curbside, takes me through security, gets me into the club in a place that's sort of sequestered.
Yeah.
And then, so even to fly commercially costs a lot of money. And then, it's all the things that I'm talking about, where these places that we go and we feel safe are also incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
I know that sounds insane, but it's like Fort Charles Prime Rib, the steak costs $80.
Right.
I mean, that is insane.
Yeah.
It's the best steak you'll ever have in your life. It's amazing prime rib. But it's got to kind of be those sorts of atmospheres. But on the flip side, now the jazz club is like, oh no, you don't have to pay cover. Come on in here. And so that's kind of nice, but it's it's just, it costs a lot, and I just can't even imagine Wahlberg's expenses. It's just to have 10 people on the payroll. I just cannot imagine. It just has to be millions, maybe plural, a year, maybe less than that.
I'd have a 2-person payroll. I got Pete, who does the job of 4.
I like that.
And I have my brother. My brother makes me laugh, and he could also beat people up if we had to.
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
That's kind of
maybe Spanish to carry stuff.
That's I got those things in Kate. Kate's the one who will
beat people up.
We were walking in Hollywood, and it was like super late, and we were in a gas station. And it was like super sketchy because it was in the neighborhood of Hollywood. And this like really bizarre dude wearing a skirt and a mesh tank top started like walking after us, and I was like, I think I should say something. You know what I mean? Because this seems like it's getting danger. And before I finished that thought, Kate was like, dude, get away from us. Away from us, okay? Right now. And then this like woman was like, okay, sorry. And Kate, we always talk about that because she kind of will go to that level.
She's your protector.
If necessary. Yeah, it's that. She's also a Michigan chick who's like, dude, get away from us.
And pitch you on a TV show?
I mean, yeah.
I can't say it on the air, the S word. Weird S with TJ Miller. It's just you doing stuff. You go to flea markets. You go into...
Yeah. Put it on the Travel Channel.
Anywhere. I mean, HBO, it's you just go and I don't mean... You know, you don't create, like, you go to places that are known for their... you at Rockville, I think, would have been good enough.
Yeah,
you chasing chickens in Ybor City.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I would watch that forever.
I got to get to chasing chickens in Ybor City.
I'm going to watch your Instagram this weekend. If I don't see you chasing the chicken, I'm going to be very disappointed.
I mean, that's the thing. You're going to have to hang out on 7th Street. But if you're willing to make that sacrifice, man, that was a beautiful disaster. It's just a catastrophe over there.
Are you going to have any kids?
Yeah, we have one frozen daughter.
Oh, you do? You're waiting?
Named Alice. and so I think that's eventually going to happen. I'm feeling like Kate still kind of wants to... She's got accepted to a huge installation art festival in the south of France, in Avignon, which I did not know how to pronounce. She's the cultured one. I was in the emoji movie.
You couldn't even say anonymity before. How are you going to say
I'm going to say Avignon. And so that's a big deal. So she was over there for a while, which is really tough because I'm only in New York 3 days a week. So when she's gone, we're away from each other for a week and a half, 2 weeks. That's really, really tough.
That's heaven for me.
One day it will be for me too.
Yeah.
And so that whole thing, but I feel like she wants to get a little bit further in her career, but this festival is that's a skyrocketing situation. So I think that she wants a little bit of that, and then she does want to feel like I'm going to make safe decisions and not put us in any danger. And I'm still kind of like...
You're still a little reckless.
I'm still ironing out the kinks as to what that is.
Don't change that. Don't keep him. Like, I'm a little nuts, and I had 2 kids, and they're fine. Don't change that. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I won't. I'm not gonna. Obviously, I'm not gonna suddenly become this like button down guy who comes in here and is like, well, I've really been enjoying seeing classical concerts and going to the opera with the Winklevi twins. But
of all the people to travel with, let me tell you why I asked about kids, because I truly am a fan, and I could talk to you for another hour, but I have to leave the show when you leave because my 6-year-old is graduating from kindergarten today, and if I don't go to that, she'll be a slut when she gets older. Blame her on that.
That is a direct correlation. They've studied that.
Oh yeah, if it's my son, he's a murderer. If it's my daughter, she's going to be a whore. Right. You should have been there with flowers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that would be a fun thing for us, and I think would get us to a closer point for sure.
Oh, you want to bring TJ?
I was going to say,
go to your daughter's.
If it was my son's graduation, I would bring TJ.
That's the weird ass was TJ Miller. Yeah. But yeah, you're right. You don't want your daughter to be embarrassed or anything like that.
My son is going to have stories. Do you know X-Pac? He was a wrestler for the WWE forever.
I think I'm going to
long hair. Yeah. Okay, so he lived here, and he would just hang out with us, and he'd be at my house for like Easter. And my kid one day is going to be like, there were wrestlers sleeping on the couch. I had a party that had 3 midgets at it one time. I mean, like, my kids' mind are going to be blown when they're older.
Yeah, exactly.
And then TJ Miller came to my graduation when I was in kindergarten.
I know, and that's why I'm a whore.
I'm looking forward to seeing what are you working on next? Like, what can we look forward to?
The Kristen Stewart film comes out January 10th. I just did a movie with Drew Barrymore, which is really exciting because it's like a super subtle, strange comedy, more in the Mike Judge realm of the stuff that I do.
Okay.
But outside of that, it's really stand-up. Come see me at the Tampa Improv. I toured 51 weeks out of 52 last year.
TJ's not an actor who decided to do comedy. He's a comedian. He's funny. 8 and 10:30.
This is not a Jeremy Piven situation.
8 and 10:30 and 7:30 and 10. You can call 864-4000 and make reservations. Do that because this is going to be a weekend where everybody goes out and you're going to get sold out.
Yeah.
I love having you on the show.
Thank you. I love being
Please, whenever you're in the vicinity, come visit us.
All you guys are so great.
I'm the best. So all of them really.
I mean, if you want to rank us, you can. I think me and you.
Number one because you said the ranking thing.
Yes, thank you.
It's Spanish number 2.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Calta, no trace.
Hey, listen, I'll take it, man. As long as I get paid highest, all I care about.
And you gotta,
Part of what makes the show so good is I know.
graduation.
Part of what makes the show so good is I know Galvin's funny, so I'm not afraid to let somebody else be funny.
But that's a really important thing.
But really, behind Spanish, you're kind of a dick.
Whoa, what?
No, but I think that that's a really important thing. That was an interesting thing about Deadpool, is that it felt a little. Some of these things can feel a little competitive, like somebody else feels some sort of competition. There's been that in almost everything that I've done. Silicon Valley, not necessarily with the co-stars and things, but with the writer. Like that showrunner was really into the idea of like, how about we do the joke as written? That's the funniest joke. And I'm like, let's just improvise and together find out what the funniest thing is. And so it just becomes this thing where I'm always like, what's the big, because I like supporting other people as much as I like getting the laugh. That's a thing that I never relate. That's the only thing I don't relate to comedic actors or those stand-ups that are like that is it's not a competition. It's about the audience. You want to find the funniest thing possible. There's stuff
real stand-ups get that. Real stand-ups want to make other people funnier.
And in my act, it doesn't matter necessarily what I want to do. Sometimes I'll do things that aren't as, don't get a huge laugh. Like I don't think I can say the D word on here, can I?
Not if you're talking about yours specifically.
Oh, but yeah. So it's not mine.
Or somebody else's. I'm just saying. I can say you're acting like.
What
one.
about if it's a phrase? It's like a coined phrase. So it's not about the actual.
Try, and if it's bad, I'll dump it.
Okay, so I was talking about Netflix and chill, and kind of how stupid that was, and this guy in the front row was like, "Yeah," or "Fire stick and dick," right? And I was like, no, actually not right. And then you know that he tried other ones. Like, you know that he was like, how about Google Chrome and Bone, right? Or maybe what about who and I do you, right? What about that?
And you thought Fire Stick was the best one.
He was alone, obviously, and you know that he just went home and looked up on Safari how to commit harikari. So that's a joke that doesn't really work when I do it. The harikari part, but I like it. It makes me laugh, so I sort of do that for me. But the rest of my act is kind of stuff that has worked and the audience responds to the best, not necessarily the thing, because it's just not all about me. It's completely about the audience.
Maybe if we don't call it Weird S with TJ Miller, we could just call it TJ Miller is Weird. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a travel thing. Wherever you are, that's where the show is.
I like that.
Yeah.
Making it. Well, no, Pete Holmes got that. Let's get weird with TJ Miller, and we're doing it all for you.
Yeah, let's get weird. Before my daughter becomes a whore, I have to go, but I want to say two things. One is that I don't think the effects of your character in Silicon Valley have really hit yet. I think there's going to be a new group of people that watch that show, a younger generation that discover it again, and Erlich Bachman is going to be the greatest. I mean,
that's a really interesting. Yeah, I had never even thought about that.
I have never been. I mean, I binge watched this show so hard, but it was mostly for your character. And what was the other thing? There was something else I was going to compliment you on before we ended. Now my daughter's going to be a whore. That's
so weird because the guy that I didn't get along with from the showrunner, he sort of said that. He was like, you have the opportunity to be one of the great characters on television, and I really appreciate that. Actually, I appreciate it coming from you more than from him.
That's the absolute truth.
But I again, the whole time I wasn't like, one day I'll be one of the great television. No. Just like I left the show because I was like, and HBO was like, what? Why do you want to just do 3 episodes? And I was like, no, I think this is a funny ending to the character. Like, well, just come back for a season finale or something like that. And I was like, it's not funny. It's funny if it ends like this in an opium den. Yeah. And it's because I just never wanted to be a TV actor. I just want to be a comedian.
Continue doing things the way you think they should be done. That's what got you here.
I like it.
Yeah. And whatever that other thing was probably good, too. I can't remember.
I bet it was really good.
All I know is I'm going to Japan in a couple of weeks for the first time, and I will have some sort of Big Hero 6 representation. I feel like that belongs there.
That does belong there. Yeah, it's the inverse of New York City.
I can't wait. It looks like it looks like it's another planet of New York.
Try and get reservations at Jiro's restaurant. Have you seen Jiro Dreams of Sushi? Have you guys seen that?
No. I've watched so many goddamn videos.
Spanish has. That's a great movie. You should definitely see it. And it's about the father of these two kids that have those. Jiro is their last name. Okay. Jiro. And it's the best sushi in the world.
Spanish, remind me. I'm in on it. Get on it. TJ Miller, thank you.
He's writing it down, analog style, old school.
Yep. That's the way stuff gets done.
He writes it down to text it to his email, and then he's going to email himself and take a screenshot of that. And
Skype reservations with Jiros.
And then sketch it out for you.
Yeah, all right. Perfect. Thank you.
And thank you guys for having me.
Great seeing you. We'll take a quick break. I'm splitting, and then these guys will be on for the next hour, or probably more like 40 minutes with the commercials that we have to catch up on. And we'll be back on Tuesday after Memorial Day. We'll see you. Bye.
The Mike Calta Show on 102.5 The Bone.